Banana slam jam.
You're how much MMR?
I am 4K, Ancient 2.
Carry, right?
So in the past, yes. For this session, I want to actually focus on mid. I've been playing a lot of mid after 7.29.
Where my session's just not working for you?
No, they were actually. I think it was kind of like weird for me to figure out the carry meta. I started playing mid for like an amateur league team, just kind of out of the blue, doing pretty well against like divine level mid players, and I had always thought that like I never had like the skill or whatever to play mid, but the role itself is interesting to me, and I kind of wanted to look at it today and kind of see, like, because it's such a new role to me, I'm having to think more about like the game itself and itemization more. Like carry itemizations, a little bit more straightforward. Like feels like there's so many items I can go on mid.
What is your MMR when we started? Wasn't it 4K?
When we absolutely started like the very first time, it was like 3.2.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, so
that's a decent growth. Okay. How many
Yeah.
sessions have you gone to now?
4 or 5.
Okay,
something like
okay, okay. That's
Yeah.
I'll consider that reasonable. So, it's better improvement rate than Airy. Don't tell him I said that.
It's funny you mentioned Airy. I actually read the book that you guys mentioned last time.
Yeah?
The Game of Tennis. I actually just finished that book, and I think that's kind of part of the reason I picked up mid is because like I'm just focusing on like the very act of learning. I'm not like judging myself for like these like lanes that go wrong or whatever. And that I used to do that in the past playing mid. And I think I found that like I'm playing mid as like a carry right now. Like I'm still trying to focus too much on farming and not enough on rotations.
Yeah.
And it seems like the games I went on mid, I usually like I'm just pushing lanes, and it's like whenever I'm playing a travels hero, I can just like buy travels and like force the enemy to show up to a lane, and then I go somewhere else, and it's like I win those games. But when I have to play this like these rotating heroes like Void Spirit or Tiny or whatever that they don't buy travels like first item, whatever, they need blinks or Yules or whatever, and they don't threaten buildings, I get like very lost as to how to make rotations and stuff. So
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, if you're transitioning from carry to mid, that makes a lot of sense. So, just for the viewers, it's a book called Inner Game of Tennis. It helped me a lot. It kind of just helps you. It tells you the things that you probably already know, kind of, but it's like basically the premise is don't judge whatever's happening in front of you. Just objectively say, could you have done better? Could you have was that correct? And like, how could you improve upon it? And kind of letting yourself play. Like that's the premise of the game. Premise of the book. It's a very nice book if anyone wants to read it
very
pretty
nice
cheap.
book.
So, you have any replays in mind for me?
Yeah, the first one here, it's a Void Spirit against an Ember. I was actually pretty happy with my first like couple waves, but after that, the Ember just started rolling over me, and I got stuck into this position where like he was out rotating me, and I felt like I couldn't occupy the lane against him, so I didn't really know what to do. Like I ended up just wasting a lot of time from that 5 to 15-minute mark, and it feels like that's what lost the game.
So how often are you playing? Like you're learning mid and stuff.
This past week, I've started playing like 3 to 5 games a day. The week before, I was super busy with work, so it's mostly been the past week.
I see. Okay. So sometimes a decent amount, sometimes not.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I think this patch mid lane's probably the easiest one to transition from carry to mid, just because I would say for like the first minimum 6 minutes of the game, you are a carry in regards to like how you play. I just want to say right now that to the viewers watching, don't misunderstand me. What that means is you prioritize yourself for like this first 6 minutes. But I have lost many a game because my mid laner prioritizes himself for way longer than that, and the other mid laner is just shitting on everybody. It happens to me a lot, actually, even at the highest level. So let's just not mistake that at the very start.
Yeah.
I want you to realize that because he's in Flame Guard and he's killing your range, that every second you spend back here is like negative for you. Do you see that? Like when you play this out, like this isn't good for you to be right here. Do you see this or no?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because the creeps just come back and hit me.
yeah, so this is like a situation where as a mid, it's really important to start recognizing these trends, just like in the game, the book, it's like, just look out for it. Don't like just literally pay attention to see like what positions in the lane become noticeably bad for you. As a carry, I've noticed that if you drag to your range creep a lot, it's decent in lane, but in mid, that's not the case. So I want you to realize that the dynamic in mid with range creeps is way different than it is in the safe lane.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to start thinking about matchups. This first wave is a big deal. It's a big deal to like conceptualize, if the lane gets pulled to my range and they pull it to their range, what does that mean for me? So a lot of heroes, notice how Ember, he went and like killed the range ASAP. And that's like what almost every mid laner tries to do, because they know putting themselves at this range is just like bad for them. So this is where you're supposed to just like hit the range and, you know, and Resonant Pulse like right away. You know, you're just supposed to get out of here ASAP. So what happens is you stick around preserving your mana, but it's like now you use Resonant Pulse anyways, and you've both expended your mana, you've both cast a spell, you've both got the same CS approximately, but he did 300 damage to you and you didn't really do any to him. So it's something where for now you're not going to feel the effect, but if this happens 3 or 4 times, you'll start feeling the effect at like 5 minutes in. You know, you'll start feeling it, because right now you have the same CS as him, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so let me rewind here. So you got the deny. I guess that's okay. You can choose to either get the range creep or go for the trade of denies, and looks like you chose the latter. Okay. Oh, nice try. Okay. So this is just like matchup knowledge. If you had hit this Remnant, that means that your combo, I'm pretty sure, right? 80 plus... Actually, no, it's not enough. So your combo doesn't even break his Flame Guard. So, like, this is a situation where it's, like, okay to go for the Remnant there, but the second you miss it, you have to be very dynamic when it comes to mid. This is the kind of stuff... It actually carries over to carry, by the way. I noticed, like, when I was getting to be a better mid laner, it also helped me in the side lanes. You have to be very dynamic. It's like, you're going to cast a spell. If it lands, what's the situation? If it misses, what's the situation? Okay?
Right.
So, like, the second you miss this Resonant, or this Aether Remnant, he's, like, in control until Flame Guard's over. Like, that's kind of how I look at it. Like, he's got control of this until Flame Guard's over. So this is a situation where you have a bunch of options, but you should not cast any spells, and you should engage him as little as possible, right? Because he's favorable, and anything you cast is just inefficient. You know, if he doesn't have Flame Guard, and you cast Resonant Pulse, and you hit him 3 times, that's like a very efficient cast of Resonant Pulse. While if he has Flame Guard active, you don't want to hit him, and Resonant Pulse does 0 damage, so it's like a very inefficient cast of the same spell. So it's just like learning to conceptualize based on matchup to matchup which situations your spell is impactful. So this one's pretty straightforward. Your spells are pretty impactful when he doesn't have Flame Guard available. They're not very impactful when he does. So that's like something this is a great matchup to practice if you have a friend that you can 1v1 mid and just really get in the habit of thinking about when you should be casting your spells. Because it's a very black and white matchup, you know, like he's favored then, you're favored otherwise, you know. Certain matchups in the mid are not nearly as straightforward in that regard. So it's a good... There's a lot of skills like that that are required to play mid, but... So I think you dragging to the rune's good. I just think the Resonant Pulse cast was quite unnecessary. Okay. Yeah, it's like a situation where you should have just ran to the rune preemptively rather than like trying to drag the wave.
Yeah.
So just like keep this in mind, right? Like 352, when he casts Flame Guard at 352, notice how if you go to the rune right now, you're gonna make it back in time to get these creeps. This is just like the stuff you pay attention to. I don't expect you to know it, like that. These are like little feels things that happen in the mid lane, but just get a sense of like thinking, could I have gone to the rune first, or did I have to drag the creeps like you did the previous time? You know, that's like a really important thing to maximize, because you're once again casting Resonant Pulse in a situation where it doesn't really do anything, and that's just another bit of mana wasted. So yeah, just little things like this will add up a lot in the mid lane. So let's fast forward a bit. Yeah, you're noticing it. This is just what happens when you inefficiently trade for like 4 minutes in a row. This is mid lane. So I think I've pointed out enough to like kind of show you what to look at, but that's about all I can do for now. Not the end of the world. You went back to base, didn't really miss any creeps. refilled your, or reset your health and mana. So I'm just asking you in hindsight, because you got all the time to think about it.
Yeah.
What is happening? How do you feel about it? Is there anything you could have done to change it, etc.?
Yeah, the runes are about to spawn, and I didn't catch this next wave, so his wave's pushing into me, and then like, I know he went top, so he has top rune, and I didn't know where, like, the Earth Spirit I guess came here on respawn.
But like, why didn't you just go top rune? Is my question.
I guess I was worried about like the wave and the siege creep hitting my tower for some reason.
Okay. Okay. So go on.
So I guess I probably fucked up by going to the jungle camp first.
Could you contest him in lane?
Didn't feel like I could. I don't know if...
Okay, I don't think you can either, but like that's fine if you just don't think you can. You don't always have to know a matchup, but okay. So let's assume that like you're making an educated guess, and it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong in this case, but like, you know, for all future engagements, you made a guess here. So you don't think you can, okay? So
yeah,
what are your options here? Like you want to get rune, you're concerned about the lane pushing into your tower. Anything you can think of?
Maybe I just like, I glyphed my creeps.
Yeah, man, you glyph those fucking creeps, bro. Like, the thing is, you need to think about all the tools you have. Like, just think about it. If these creeps, your creeps, lived for 4 extra seconds, would that be impactful to you?
Yeah, definitely.
It would give you the time to go get the rune, and you'd be back in time to intercept the creep wave, right? These are just little things that you learn as a mid laner where you have a bunch of tools. I'll just tell you, at my level, the other guy uses these tools better than I do, and I lose the lane if the guy's like a regular, like, refined mid lane player. Because, like, there's shit where I'm like, God, he's going to do it. Yeah, I know he's going to do it, and I can't even do anything about it because he's, like, a step ahead of me, you know?
Yeah.
So this is just the kind of stuff that you just put into that memory bank, and what I would expect is next time you're in a similar situation that you'd probably forget, maybe do it a bit late, but you'd at least be able to recognize on your own that you could, you know, that you could have done that. So yeah, just, it's mainly about what's happening in the lane, what were you trying to do, which was check the rune, and you didn't check the rune because of the creeps. So we just did some, like, reverse engineering, and the whole problem was that the lane was pushing into your tower. If there's absolutely nothing you can do about it, then you're probably not getting the rune, or you're having to choose between the rune and the creeps, right? You're having to choose. But since there is something you can do about it in this particular case, then it's like, is that resource worth expending to do this? If that was a Lesh, would it be worth expending a fort to do that?
No, because then you can just...
Because you just literally shred your building the second you do that. But with an Ember Spirit, it's not a big deal, right? So,
yeah,
very, like, these are little matchup things that over time are very important to differentiate between certain matchups. Okay. The value of all of these mechanics, whether or not it's dragging the wave, whether or not it's going to the rune first, whether or not it's forwarding your own creeps, you know, whatever it is, stacking the small camp instead of farming it, these are all just things you need to know in every matchup, right? Like, but the thing is, as long as you're consciously aware that those are things that matter in every matchup, that's how you're eventually going to get better. You'll be like, oh, you know, if I stack the small camp, he literally just walks over and takes it. So it's like, I'm not going to do it next time in that matchup. You know, I did that once against, I was Alk against Kunkka, I remember.
Kunkka, yeah.
And I was like, oh, you know, like, I'll go stack the small camp, and then the Kunkka literally just walked past the creep wave and took my small camp, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Well, can't do that in that matchup. So, yeah.
Yeah, from here I'm definitely lost, because I'm like, I can't really contest the Ember, but I don't know if I'm supposed to go to a lane, and like, he's gonna pressure my building. Like, I don't know if I'm too focused on like pushing out mid wave or something, but this feels like my worst. These feel like my worst scenarios as a mid, where like I want to defend the mid lane, but I just can't, and my hero like otherwise. I don't know. Like, I was considering going top there, I just didn't. Like, I don't know.
Let's rerun a bit then.
Like, as a carry here, I would obviously like go jungle, right? It's like this level 6 offlaner in my lane kills me, whatever. It's like, as a mid, you know, I'm getting level 6 earlier. It's like a completely different dynamic I haven't really prepared for yet.
So here's how I look at it. This guy just used Flame Guard and shoved you out of lane, right? My question would be, would you rather be full health, full mana with him having Flame Guard, or this without him having Flame Guard?
Probably this.
Okay. So what am I getting at here?
I should have been basically aggressive once his Flame Guard ran out.
Just use your W one extra time on this creep wave right here, and then base.
Yeah.
So, like, you just have 150 mana that you can actually use, in this case, and you're
Right.
just going back to base with it, right? So, it's an example where you're getting bullied, you're getting the guys playing to his power spikes, and then you're allowing him to have the same control of the lane when he doesn't have the power spikes, okay?
Right.
So, this is the kind of stuff where you're going to continuously get sent to base, and you're going to feel like you don't know where to go, simply because you're not using enough resources on the mid lane, such that you keep feeling drawn back to the mid lane, and then you can't leave the mid lane. It's like this never-ending cycle of, because he's being slightly more efficient than you, he's not only able to get runes, he's also able to push in the lane, and he's also able to gank if he wants, because he's got all these extra resources to work with, and he's also using his resources a bit better. So this is just a perfect example where it's very important not just to understand what's happening to you, it's really important to understand why. Like, really important to understand why. So maybe during the game, you're not going to be able to think about this, okay? Like, maybe, you've got so much going on, I get it. But after the game, assessing to yourself, why, like, you could even watch this back, and I'd just be like, every time he had Flame Guard, he ran at you, and you got bullied away. So it's like, what could you do better to have avoided his Flame Guard usage? Was it preemptively gauging when he was going to use it? Was it forcing him to use it and then backing off? Was it like making sure you cast all your spells right as his Flame Guard ended? What's the cooldown on his Flame Guard? How much downtime do I have? Like, how much time do I have to benefit from the fact that he doesn't have Flame Guard? These are the kind of things you just have to know if you want to play mid matchups. Like, that's just kind of how it is. A lot of the matchups where, like, I'm losing, I can just tell the guy knows almost exactly what my cooldowns are. When I'm in the off lane, or when I'm in the safe lane or the off lane, I know most heroes' cooldowns because I play that matchup a lot. But, like, a lot of mid laners, I don't, like, in the back of my mind, know exactly how long their cooldowns are. Like, obviously, to some extent, like, you could know exactly how long the Flame Guard cooldown is, but it's more important to have a feel of how long you have between two Flame Guards, It's like... you can. I think it's 35 seconds. Like, that's what I think it is. Yeah, it's 35 seconds and it's 15-second downtime. Like, I knew it was 35 seconds, but like for me, I don't have like a good feel of that. You can't afford to just like in the head remember, oh, it's 35-second cooldown. It's like, I got time to W and E and then get the fuck out kind of thing. That's kind of how you learn to feel it out. But they're like numbers that become feel. Is what Dota is, I think. So, okay. So once again, you're contesting him when he has Flame Guard. So you just casted a bunch of mana. So you just casted a bunch of spells and did no damage to him. So I just want you to remember that you've been casting a bunch of spells and done virtually 0 damage to him. And what happens to you when he casts spells and does a bunch of damage to you? So this is an example where, let's just run it back now with the knowledge we have of this matchup. So you need to learn to gauge what's going to happen ahead of time. So I know this is like a big step, but you'll obviously go back to this coaching session and see it. Yeah. So you TP mid. You need to know what the dynamic of this situation is when he has Flame Guard, okay? So he has Flame Guard. You walk up, he Flame Guards. I guess you messed up and missed there. I don't know exactly what happened. But my question is would you have rather done what you just did there? Or would you rather just TP mid, farm the small camp, let him push it into you, and then go somewhere else? Like, that's what my question is. What would you rather do? I don't know.
I would actually say I probably rather would farm the small camp. I just, like, because the Ember's been pushing me out so much. Like, so yeah, I would probably rather wait for him to, like, leave and then farm it, just because it feels like he's stronger than me. Like, if I was playing a hero that pushed Ember out, I would absolutely go to
Okay, so my thing is that you have to know. You walk up this creep wave, he walks up to it, whatever spells he has available, whatever spells you have available, whoever casts what, who wins. Like, you just have to know. Like, eventually, right? I'm not saying, like, I expect you to know this. You just have to know. Like, you're like 400 mana that you just used there, and all your cooldown of your Astral Step did the same thing as him who popped Flame Guard.
Yeah.
And he actually shoved the lane into you. So he got more out of using just Flame Guard, and you used like 4 spells. So That's just an example where you don't know it now, that's fine. But eventually, you have to start being able to recognize what's happening here. So then, the beauty of this is that he uses Flame Guard on that wave. Where's your sense of urgency? What should you do right now?
I should have basically caught the next wave on top of his hill, like Dissimilated and like Astral Stepped and before.
And get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this is the feel shit. Like, you shouldn't be here 5 seconds from now. And it's such a big deal. Like, it's just such a big deal. Because you're going to cast Assimilate, you're going to cast Resonant Pulse, and then you're just out. And, like, he did no damage to you, and he couldn't stop you. Notice how this whole time he's been shoving in the lane into you, and you can't do anything about it. There are moments in every matchup where he can't do anything about it. But you have to use them. You know, if you're here in 5 seconds, you misplayed. You know what I mean? Like, it's already too late.
Right.
A good player, like if that guy's like 9k, 10k, he might even fucking fort the creep wave just to keep you here for an extra 4 seconds. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
they'll do that. He'll like, I don't want him to clear this wave with this Dissimilate, so I'm going to fort it, and then if he tries to clear it, I'll kill him. Or, like, I'll do 400 damage to him or whatever. Like, really good players will do that shit. So, yeah. But now you're engaging him when he has Flame Guard. So then he has control of the rune again. It's like, what if you had just Dissimilated on top of his hill, Astral Step towards the top rune, and just dipped? And, like, if the top rune was there, you got it and walked away. You know, what if you had just done that? So here's an example where you let him push it into you. Fine. I think that Resonant Pulse was unnecessary. The Dissimilate was fine. I definitely think you should buy boots. I'll just say right now, don't go against your items, okay? I don't care if your items are correct. If you are going to walk around the map, what do you have to have?
Boots.
Movement speed to move around the map, okay? I've made this mistake. It's like, so a combination of eventually understanding which one is perfect is great, okay? Like, eventually you're going to be like, in this matchup, I want to move a lot. In this matchup, I don't want to move. All that kind of stuff, okay? But all I need from you is if you don't buy boots, to not fucking move, okay? If you're going to buy boots, try moving. Just see what happens. The only thing I don't want is for you to go, like, early boots Windlace and sit mid. Or to buy no boots and run around the map. That's like the... that's all I don't want, okay? So I really emphasize to you and everyone watching that your items mean something. They do something for you. They give you the ability to do something you previously couldn't do, or to do it faster than you previously couldn't do, okay? Just follow those items, man. Just don't overthink it. If you aren't buying boots, you are consciously saying, I'm not moving. And if that's the case, that's the case. That's fine. If you look after the game and say, damn, my lanes were feeding, I probably needed to help them, you know, try to gauge why, you know, like, why did I need to do that? You can't think about all this shit during the game. And then you're like, okay, next time I'll go boots. Like, an example of this was like a more specific matchup example was I was Lesh against Puck, and I went boots because I wanted to move around the map, and then I tried to push out the lane, and Puck just killed me with Coil. And it's like, if I had gone Null Talisman 1 in a raindrop, I wouldn't have died to that Coil. So it's like, even though I want to move, if I can't even fucking occupy the mid lane, it doesn't matter. I can't just go boots. That's like an example where I wanted to move, but then I realized, oh, I need to survive the Coil first. Like, I went full to 0 from the Coil. So, yeah, it's just, that's the kind of stuff that I'm, matchup specific wise, you learn. Okay. So it's like, that's definitely just an unnecessary Astral Step. It's kind of like Batrider. When you Firefly, it's your farming tool. It is a farming tool, but it also is your kill tool. So by Astral Stepping there, you're also like, you're being aggressive, but then you're removing your ability to actually do anything if somebody shows up.
Yeah.
So really try to understand how important, or okay, combination of certain things. How aggressive the move you're making is, what you intend to do if somebody shows up, and like what your ability usage is causing you to to limit you. What is your ability usage limiting you for? It's like by casting one Astral Step, maybe one of the supports could TP in and defend this rather than just die, you know? Like that's an example where this is what I mean by what do your abilities mean to you. So this is the kind of stuff that's really important to just play the same hero over and over again. I couldn't tell you exactly what it is with Void Spirit, like exactly his limitations and stuff, because I just don't play the hero. But like I can tell you on every mid laner I've played a lot of, you learn like to hold certain spells because if you use them and somebody shows up, you're just like, oh,
Yeah.
now what? And then if you start understanding your hero, say you understand Void Spirit, and you were an Ember and you saw the Void Spirit cast Astral Step to like farm a creep wave, maybe you would TP in and try to kill him in a situation that you otherwise wouldn't. You know,
Right.
like
Yeah.
by understanding one hero, whenever you're playing against it, you'll play against it better. Okay, so you know you're top now.
Yeah. This felt like the only move I could make that had some sort of impact, like taking the tower, but. Or
Okay.
helping to take the tower, but.
So this is the moment, right here. What are you thinking right now? I just want you to look at the map right now. What do you think?
I know my Dusa was about to get going on. My Pudge was like occupying mid, so I didn't have to worry about like the tower being taken mid. But I was kind of like I had bought in the back of my mind at this specific moment. Once they glyphed, I was like, they're probably not sending anyone up here to defend.
Okay.
So Axe
Stop
probably
there.
can take this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was like, so Axe probably can take this tower by himself.
So what does that mean?
It means I shouldn't be here anymore.
Just dip the fuck out right here. Like,
Yeah.
right now. This moment where they glyphed and then you then see 4 heroes bottom, or 3 or whatever, you are instantly aware that they are not defending this tower.
Yeah.
So all you're doing here is going to be casting mana to yoink your Axe. That's all you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, think about it, right? So it's just a inefficient spell usage, time usage, like map distribution. Your only 2 reasonable plays are to walk towards mid right now or to TP bottom.
Right.
That's like the only 2 reasonable plays at this exact moment. The quicker you recognize that, the better, you know? But, like, since you're newer to mid, you're also, like, I don't expect 4Ks to have ridiculously fast decision-making. But this is the moment where, when I'm top, it's just like I ask support players in lane, how much does the carry need you to farm and all that kind of stuff? How much does this guy that you rotated for need your help to get this tower? You know, how crucial are you?
Yeah.
It's like, if you're the Lesh, by all means, fucking stay here and kill the tower because you're Diabolic Edict. Maybe the offlaner at that point is supposed to know to dip out.
He's the one who's supposed to go, yeah.
But, like, in this case, have a good idea of what your offlaner wants. Like, what does Axe want to do at 10 minutes into the game?
He just wants to be farming, cutting
He wants to be
waves and
cutting
camps, all
waves
that.
and
Yeah.
pulling them into camps and killing the tower. So, like, why are we just literally yoinking the farm he wants to take right now? Like, this is his. This is what he wants, right?
Yeah.
If he's like Mars or something, he would probably be perfectly content to just TP mid and let you have this lane. You know, he'd probably be okay with that. But yeah, every offlaner, every hero in the game has like some particular strengths and play styles that they want. So,
Yeah.
the mid lane requires you to have a much better overall game understanding than carry does. As a carry, this shit actually matters. It's just you don't deal with it as often. And if you were bad at this skill, it wouldn't negatively impact you as much on carry.
Yeah, I know we talked about it in our last session actually as carry, because I was also doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But I actually got that down as carry because like, oh yeah, I'm basically never needed. My job is to hit creeps, but as a mid, I kind of like, I felt a bit more of an obligation to stay. But like looking at it now, I'm like, yeah, once that glyph popped off, like I had 0 reason to be there. So
Yeah, so this is why you don't TP mid unless there's like a catapult hitting your tower. It's not a good lane for you. So I would generally be more likely to TP if me TPing means shove the lane real quick and like walk somewhere.
yeah,
Well, like if you TPing there means like Ember just shoves it into your face and runs at you, that's that you don't TP to a lane when it looks like that.
right,
Okay?
yeah,
So that's a lot about understanding the matchup between you and whoever's going to be mid at this stage in the game. It could be a combination of like maybe you do it, maybe you push the lane out against 2 of their cores, but you don't push it out against Ember. But you see Ember bot, so you're like, oh, like I'll TP mid real quick and clear this wave. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
this is the kind of stuff where the key emphasis, I know I've said it, but the key emphasis is if you're going to TP to that mid wave, you better be able to push it out real quick and then go do something. Otherwise, you TP'd, so you're removing yourself from the game, and then you're like, the enemy knows you TP'd, and then you're just like sitting underneath your tower with no TP to go anywhere. So you're just you're literally off the map for however long it takes you to clear that wave and go somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like, which is if you are not the guy that's shoving the wave, it's going to be a lot longer that you're off the map. So as a mid, our goal, whenever it comes to farming and shit, is to be a presence on the map as often as possible. So being in lanes with this axe where he doesn't need you anymore, that's an example of removing your presence on the map. TPing mid and getting bullied underneath your tower, that's an example of not being a presence on the map. It's like if you walk mid and Ember shoves it into you, and then you Resonant Pulse dissimulate the creep wave, walk into the trees and TP bottom, it's like you are potentially a threat that entire time. Do you see what I'm saying? The differences there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I get it.
Okay. Just something to think about. You'll probably have to watch that one back too. But okay.
Yeah.
Let's fast forward. So you're respawning. It's literally the same mistake over and over again. If you were Ember, what would you be trying to do right now?
If I'm Ember, I'm pushing this wave in. I think once they see those TPs bottom, I don't know if my team's TPs were showing, but Ember's probably going to run at bottom once this wave's pushed in. Possibly running into the triangle.
Let's actually be very clear, okay? This is how mid laners win the game. Are you ready? At this stage in the game, the majority of games, like meaning unless some crazy shit happens or like it's a specific draft or whatever, who are the strongest heroes in the game?
The heroes who can push waves out safely and then go do other
No,
stuff.
like, let's not be general about it. Like, I'm in this one, I actually want a specific answer. What role in the game is the strongest hero in the game right now?
Usually the mid until...
Usually the mid. So, I want you to imagine that you are the enemy mid, and you know that you are the strongest hero on your team. Where are you going to put yourself?
Basically
if possible.
The most aggressive part of the map, like...
Okay.
Or basically the place where like the enemy doesn't want to go, or like basically like the other side of the map from my carry, such that like I'm in the most.
That's not necessarily true at all. It could be the same part of the map as your carry. It has absolutely nothing to do with what your other heroes are doing. So this is probably the stuff that I don't know. Maybe it sounds cooler in my head, but hopefully this like somewhat blows your mind and people that are watching. When you are a strong hero on the map, you want to put yourself in front of the hero, the strongest hero on the opponent team that you are still stronger than.
Interesting.
What is that? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Meaning that if he's the strongest hero on his team, he has to gauge, generally speaking, the order of strength between everyone on your team. So let's just assume you're the strongest on the team. If he is stronger than you, what should he do?
He should basically come try to contest me.
He should contest you, because if he's the strongest guy on his team and you're the strongest guy on your team and he's shitting on you, his team is going to win by a large margin.
My team isn't doing anything.
Okay?
Yeah, 'cause I'm the one who's supposed to, right?
If you're the strongest guy on your team and you are not stronger than Ember, what are you supposed to do?
I'm supposed to play away from Ember. And, like,
you're supposed to play towards the guy that's strongest other than Ember that you still think you are stronger than. And yet you just keep delivering yourself to this Ember. That's like what you keep doing. I'm like, if I'm Ember, I'm going to look to contest the strongest hero on your team, because I would say Ember is the strongest hero in the game right now. So I'm going to go to the strongest hero on your team. And you may say, like, Medusa has the most farm or whatever, but Medusa at this stage in the game isn't strong. She's not doing anything. This is the kind of stuff that mid laners at, like, either the 7K, like, low 8K bracket fuck up all the time. It's like, dude, just go put yourself in front of the guy that's stronger than me, but not stronger than you. Fuck. Like me as a carry player. Like, that's what I want you to do. It's like, as a Medusa, I can't contest Ursa, but I think you can. So why are you not in front of the Ursa? You know what I mean? Like, either way, why are you contesting the Ember? That'd be, like, the better thing to ask yourself. So just really think about that one, okay? Like, really conceptualize what that means to you in every game, okay? Because that's something I probably haven't said out loud on stream before, but it's, like, something I would say pretty much every high-level player thinks about. So, yeah, you just go back mid, and, like, that's exactly where the guy that wants to be near you, and this is where Medusa doesn't mind being. And then you're
they
just
clap at me going in there. Yeah.
And Ember's like, oh, hi! And then he just kills you.
Yeah.
But, like, suddenly, the reason why you want it to be the hero that's the strongest, but not the hero that's, like rather than the weakest, you want it to be the hero you're stronger than, that without help will not be stronger than you, right? So if you can pick the strongest hero on the map, that guy kind of feels like he should be getting help. That guy kind of feels like he should be doing something strong on the map. Like, say you're doing it in front of the Centaur. But until he gets help, he can't do anything to you, you know, for instance. So then all of a sudden that is going to prompt the reaction, like you said. It's going to force people to come to you. And then at that point, the skill then comes with, what do you do with that reaction? Are we instantly disengaging? Do we bring 5 heroes instead? You know, like, if Ember TP top and you were contesting the Centaur bottom, I would be like, guys, let's go fucking kill these guys. Ember, just TP top, you know? But if, like, Ember is capable of being there, it's probably with the intent to force Ember to react and then get out. Like, that's what it's probably meant to do. So when you're losing on the map, when you're not the strongest hero on the map, it's a lot less straightforward. But it comes with, if you're the second strongest guy on the map, what is the strongest guy doing? And make him react to what you're doing because you know he wants to do something in regards to you. And it's if he's picking on your team, say the Ember is picking on your team, you need to have a general idea of how far does he have to go before you stop him, okay? Like, before he, even if he's stronger than you, if he, like, runs into your triangle by himself, he might just die, okay? You know what I mean? Like, he runs into a high ground with Medusa, Pudge waiting for him. It's like, if you see him doing that shit, you can't just let him do it. Even though I've told you to ignore him, it's like, you have to draw a line where this guy is stronger than me. Have a general idea of, like, what he's doing is being like, okay, he's stronger than me, but he's not that strong. Okay, you know what I mean? Like, how far does that strength go? So, I'm done with this replay. I think you've kind of like, we've seen enough. So, you got another one for me?
Yeah, I do.
If you liked this video, please like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel, all that shenanigans, because at the end of the day, YouTube does care about that. You may not care about it, I may not care about it, but the YouTube algorithm does. So please do.